You know, we've been researching since the internet came out, haven't we? You know, we've been looking into a lot of things that are not spoken about, trying to make sense of things. We went through phases, you know, shouting about this and that and the other conspiracy theory, saying, you know, it's all lies and they're all out to kill us and depopulation and they're culling the population. Pretty much, I suppose, scaring people with information. And a lot of people weren't listening, you know, people were just carrying on in their everyday way. You know, trust the government, choose the best of, you know, the less of two evils. And then years later, we still research, and occasionally, you know, you give up for a few months and think, okay, I'll try and get back to normal life. And then it eats away at you again. You think, yeah, I just can't act normal. I can't just continue. There's so many lies and so many memes and things that control people's lives. You know, make them choose wrong, bad decisions and stuff. Pursue pointless things, neglect other important things. You know, and you suddenly see it because you know, you've been looking so much at life, the problems of life, and what we're living for, and you know. And then you get into this state of mind where you realise, you know, it's no use in telling you all the people you know and your friends and family to wake up or whatever. It's no use in trying to scare them into being awake. And probably then you realise that most of the end of the world doom, you know, stories are just not true. So you don't really need to worry about building an underground bunker and supplying it with food for an entire family and friends anymore. You know, there's a lot of burdens fall away, and you think, okay, there's a lot of hoaxes as well. The media's full of hoaxes, big and small. So, you know, should we not worry about them, just not talk about them? Or should we continue to use them hoaxes to scare them, you know? Go along with the hoax, so to speak. And then you get tired of all these games and being divisive with it all and trying to work out how to wake up humanity, you know, how to wake up your friends or to wake yourself up. You know, what is the answer? What's going to reveal itself? There's a slight realization that, you know, those in power have the control, you know, those with the most money and those with the biggest um, corporations and those with the most ancient knowledge and those with the biggest family connections are the ones who are controlling everything, so there's nothing we can do. And that feeling creeps in. And then everything becomes a joke, you know. But it still drains you and it still drags on and life doesn't get any better. Life gets worse for everybody else, which means you have to listen to everybody else's miserable problems all the time, which you've already overcome by then. Because you've decided you don't want this or that or the other because of this reason, you know. For example, you don't want a mobile phone, you don't want a cell phone because you don't want to be like, you know, imprisoned to it. Ringing all the time, you know. So you realise you don't want a cell phone, so you don't have a cell phone. You know, your life gets easier because you know you've got more time and less. You know, you're less available to interruption, so you can concentrate for longer on, you know, get into more, concentrate more. You know, but then you get somebody else who's got their mobile phones. You know, so you have to deal with their problems or be alone. You know. And then you tell them, oh, that's the reason I haven't got a mobile phone. And they say, oh, I need one because of this, that and the other. And you say, well, yeah, that's why I gave up this, that and the other as well. You know, give up these trivial pursuits. They bear no fruit. But then you realise, you know, there's nothing much else to do in the world than buy and sell and consume and enjoy and stuff. And there's a lot of good things to enjoy, you know. I enjoy the world. You know, I don't always spend my time in the woods. It's only sort of like, you know, an hour every few days. You know, I'm not a forest dweller. Um, you know, I come out of here to get away from that Illuminati world, you know, if you want to call it that. You know, that crazy world of illusion, which I enjoy as well. You know, I do enjoy the madness to a certain degree. I think we all, you know, like a crazy society, you know. just think it's too much watching people suffer, and especially when it's in other countries and they haven't got the luxuries or the internet or the connectivity. But there's people out there who are suffering, and you're drinking the coffee from their country or eating bananas from their country or whatever, and think, well, I am slightly responsible maybe for somebody else's welfare. We're talking about equality or equity or balance or fairness. Let's be fair. Let's turn this unfair world into a fair world. So that thought comes, and then you try and buy different food and things like that to be fair. Give up eating meat and do everything you can, and it becomes crazy. And then when you start noticing other people just can't take it anymore, those who you consider to be the normal, sort of average people, I don't mean that in a condescending way, we're all average in some way. And all of these people who haven't, just living the normal life, trust in the government, trust in the system, trust in the powers that be, they suddenly realise that these powers that be are no good for them. They suddenly realise that the government is probably just too evil. It's not the lesser of evils anymore, it's now unbearable. And a lot of people then get injustice, a lack of justice in the courts, and lose property, lose homes, lose children unjustly. And so these things happen, and people then suddenly get literally forced into opening their eyes to see that there's something about this world that needs changing. There's something about this world that's hidden from our view, and we need to understand it and see it in order to empower ourselves individually, as individuals, to change the world. To get rid of this feeling we can't change it, because obviously as one little individual can change maybe little, but in a way one individual can change everything. It's just which one individual, and it could be anyone. It doesn't have to be somebody who's even in a public position. It could be somebody who wants no credibility or prestige from their ultimate act of goodness. And I'm not talking about investing millions or anything. It could just be a little piece of seed of information that sets everybody free. I was on a public bus, and I was sat there, and a young child was running up and down, having fun, playing and singing, and shouted to his mother, "Hey, we're standing still, and the world is moving by. The world is moving, and we're standing still." And everybody on the bus, everybody who heard that, just, you could feel it got them thinking. And I've thought about that ever since. That little child gave me such a seed of wisdom, And so maybe the search for celebrity status, or the search for success or anything is maybe a burden or a hindrance in that way. It's maybe far better to do the major work in the hidden. To do good things for people without having to tell them, "Oh, I closed your gate last night," or I moved your rubbish, or I did this for you. But just to do that, not to manipulate people behind their backs, but just to do the obvious good things without needing permission or recognition or whatever. But yeah, now we know all the so-called normal people kind of wake up to the fact that there's a lot of corrupt things, so they start looking on the internet, they start seeing the same conspiracy sort of videos that we saw, back in the day, and then begin to kind of tell you what you already know and have already surpassed. There's other videos that have already explained that away and given it a new spin and a new spin and a new spin, and they don't realise how many rabbit holes are in front of them, So now you've got a new problem. It's not any longer waking them up, it's like giving them the torch. It's giving them the light to see that there's so many rabbit holes, they might as well listen to you now, rather than listen to the media that's always pulling them along. So it takes, it's something I realised for myself, a little bit of patience is maybe required, knowing that people are going to go through the same stages that I went through. And I'm not saying, it sounds like maybe a brag or anything, but that's not the intention. It's just the fact that I can only relate to my younger selves, You know, the parts of me that the reason I didn't understand back then for so many years. You know, I don't look at myself as being stupid. I just see myself as finding some particular answer that makes so much sense to empower me. And usually it was somebody else that passed on that information. And it comes with wisdom, it comes with age, it comes with when your priorities change and you don't want to just go out to clubs and pubs just to drink and get high and stuff. You want to start getting into the finer levels of life. So maybe that's just what draws you in to looking at, you know, how to make a real party in life. You know, I think as we get older, we have the potential of knowing how to make a really good party. You know, where we don't have to have a hangover, where we don't have to injure somebody or break tables and stuff, where we don't have to prove a point and stuff. We can just have a really good party and enjoy our company, enjoy the food, enjoy the time, enjoy the music that we play together, enjoy the space we make and the clothes that we dress each other up in. And that's party. But not to buy all of that party, to create it ourselves, to be the party. We are the party, you know. Alright then. See you later.